Well, hello there. My name is Sometimes Heather and I make things. Last time, I promised to show you how I knit socks, so let's do that. First, yarn. I felt the need to wear red woolies this winter, so I ordered a pretty ball from Adlibris. And some green cotton. And a book. Only this is not the book I aimed for. Pretty. Maybe I will keep it and try for the correct copy next time. So, I have one ball of Socky Stonewash sock yarn in the shade Ruby Red. I use superwash wool because it's durable, easy to work with, and it doesn't trigger my allergies. I am the odd knitter who is allergic to lanolin, so using virgin wool is out of the question. Socky is recommended for needle size 4.5 to 5 millimeters. I'm going in with my pink DPN size 4 millimeters. As an added bonus, these look really pretty with the yarn. I have already knit one sock, so I will also show you how I mark my socks to avoid counting rounds multiple times. Let's cast on. Experience has taught me that for my foot, with this yarn and this needle size combo, 40 stitches works best. I will cast on 10 per needle, making sure to keep the tension loose. The mouth of the sock needs to be soft and stretchy, otherwise the socks will feel uncomfortable. I will join to work in the round, choose my preferred rip and proceed to the first round. Today I will be using a 1x1 twisted rip. I'll work the first round in ordinary knit 1 purl 1 rip. On the second round, I will work every knit stitch through the back loop to gain a twisted effect. Purl stitches are worked normally. Ribbing is my least favorite part of sock knitting. I often choose to knit either a really short cuff or replace rib with a picot edge to avoid purl stitches as much as I can. This twisted rib is a bit more interesting to work with than ordinary rib, and I really like the finished look. I worked 20 rounds of twisted rib for these socks and left myself a little note regarding the length of the cuff. Now it's time to work the heel flap. I usually make both socks exactly the same way, without thinking which needles I should choose for my heel. Needles 1 and 2 are readily available after finishing a round, so I will use those. I will knit all stitches on these needles onto one needle. That makes working on the heel flap easier for me. As I reach the end of the row, I turn my work and slip the first stitch without knitting it. Place the yarn like you would when purling, shove the needle through the first stitch, slip it, and it settles into the perfect position. Purl through the row and turn again. Slipping the first stitch on a knit row is a bit different. We all have our preferred method. I like to snip the stitch as if to knit it, drop it and pick it up through the back loop. There are easier ways, but this is how I slip. Continue to work the heel flap in stockinette until it covers your entire heel. Trying the sock on at this point is essential. If your heel is too short or too long, the sock will, again, be uncomfortable. I have left myself another little note that tells me how many rows to work. Instead of counting rows, I like to count the pretty stitches on the edge. This braid-like edge is pretty important for a future step, so do take care when slipping the first stitches. Now, as the heel flap is long enough, we get to the fun bit, turning the heel. I have 20 stitches on my needle here. I will divide them by 2 and then divide 1/2 by 2. This gives me an arrangement of 5, 10, 5. 5 on both sides, 10 in the middle. I like to start working on the inside on a purled row. I will purl 14. This leaves me 6 stitches on the left needle. I will purl 2 together and turn. Slip the first stitch and knit 8 or until you have 6 on the left needle. Knit 2 together through the back loop, tidily. Turn, slip the first stitch and purl 8 stitches. You will have 5 on the left needle. The first 2 might be separated by a little gap. Purl 2 together, turn, slip and knit 8. Knit 2 together through the back loop, turn and slip. Continue like this until you have run out of stitches on the left needles. That's our heel all turned, isn't it pretty? As we got rid of a lot of stitches, we need to replace them. Continue to the edge of the heel flap. Pick up 1 stitch from each visible stitch on the pretty braided edge. And 1 from between the needles. I got 12 new ones. Knit stitches on needles 3 and 4, and as you reach the heel flap on the other side, pick up as many stitches as you did on the first edge. And then we face a minor issue with the heel stitches, as they all currently reside on needle number 1. I like to knit half of them, 5 in this case, onto my working needle at this point. And that takes care of that issue. Knit 1 round. As we went a bit overboard with adding stitches, we need to get rid of a few. Work a decrease on every second round at the end of needle 1 and at the start of needle 4 until all needles have 10 stitches again. Let's look at the decreases a bit more closely. To end needle 1, knit 2 together in the very ordinary fashion, no tricks added. To start needle 4, slip 1 as if to knit 1 and pass the slipped stitch over the knit 1. This will give you a smooth decrease line. After completing decreases, pop in a stitch marker and continue to knit all stitches on all needles until the sock almost covers your longest toe. This is another boring part, but as no brain is needed here, knitting the body of a sock is the perfect time to binge on a favorite TV show. The reason for the previously added marker is simple. It shows you where to start counting rounds, thus making your life a bit easier. When working on the first sock, also pop in a marker before starting the toe decreases and make a note of how many rounds you worked for the body. If you forget and need to recount, you will only need to count between the markers. Now, let's decrease again. There are many schools to this step. I like to decrease on every round at the start and end of needles. Some like to work decreases every second round or only at the end. I will show you how I do this. So, at the start of needle 1, knit 2 together by the back loops. At the end of needle 2, knit 2 together. To start needle 3, knit 2 together by the back loops. And to end needle 4, knit 2 together. Repeat until you run out of stitches. I like to work decreases until I only have 1 stitch left on each needle. Then I cut my yarn and cast each stitch off individually. This method leaves me with a pointy edge. It looks funny without a foot indoors, but with a bit of wear, the pointy toe settles pretty well. Weaving in ends completes the sock. After finishing, I had this much yarn left over. I used it to knit a pair of really short stripy socks. They turned out so cute I actually wore them for a week straight after casting off. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm going to take a bit of a Christmas break now, so I will see you next year. Thank you so much for watching and happy holidays to you all. Stay safe.